I work with the AI team, as I said, and also with the AbbVie library, and we have been building these custom literature portals for our customers, for our clients within AbbVie. So we have lots of different research groups. For example, this is Oncology, where we build a website custom for that research group where they can select from drop-downs. They can search and filter by the types of cancers, the types of cancer drugs, and a bunch of other general topics, right? So that they can get the literature, the scientific literature that's relevant to them without having to go construct complicated PubMed search queries every time they want to find something, right? And so we've done this for a number of groups: oncology, HIV, and others. And we've stumbled many times over the phrase oncology ontology because we use ontologies to do this, right? So we need ontologies to encode the knowledge, for example, that lung cancer, lung carcinoma, carcinoma of the lung all refer to the same thing, right? The same concept, what we would commonly call lung cancer, right? And so the ontologies are necessary, but they are not quite sufficient, right? So if you go on the next slide, we have an example here where we actually require some natural language processing, some NLP, to extend what the ontologies can do. And this is one of the nice aspects of Semaphore, because it also can handle some of this NLP heavy lifting as well, right? So here we have just a very simple example of a plural noun, something like biomarkers, right? And thanks. And so something like biomarkers is an important concept for us, right? But we ran into a problem right away where it wasn't really a problem, but we noticed, oh, hey, our ontology only has the word biomarker, right? And of course, you don't want to have to add biomarker and biomarkers. You don't want to have to add the plural of the noun every time you put a new concept into your ontology, right? This is obvious because these are not two different words, right? These are two variants of the same lemma, as we would say in linguistics, right? A lemma being kind of a single word object. Right, so this is sort of a very simple example, but it just shows that this is a fact about the English language, right? That you can slap an S on something and that it becomes a different form of the same word. It's not a fact about the concept of biomarkers, right? It's not something that we sort of deeply care about from a content perspective, right? A somewhat more complex example of why we need NLP, right? So NLP can tell us, yes, these are both the same lemma, and that's great. We also can look at things like part of speech and other aspects of the sort of linguistic analysis of these words, right? So we have some kind of contextual rules that we can implement within Semaphore. Like if we're looking for a concept like back pain, right? We might have set up a rule that basically says if we have, back or some synonym of back within so many words of pain or whatever it is, that we can tag our literature, that article with that concept of this is about back pain, right? But we tried to do this and we very quickly realized that the way we were implementing it was a little bit naive because we had instances like Back to the Future of pain management, right? Where clearly this does not refer to back pain, right? So we're like, okay, what do we do, right? So this is a case where having some part of speech information actually would be useful, right? I mean, it won't get us 100% of the way there, but it's useful to know here back as an adverb. We don't care if back's an adverb, we don't care about it, right? Because it's never going to refer to the back, right? Similarly with a verb, right? So back is like a very kind of ambiguous word in the language, right? So what we actually have are kind of two possibilities to kind of lemmatize these words, right? So kind of the old school way, what we might just call stemming, right, is a kind of a rule-based, this is on the left, a rule-based lemmatizer which basically has some rules that basically say, oh, this is backs, and we could chop off an S and it becomes back, and then you're done, right? And what we actually have in Semaphore is this kind of off-the-shelf statistical model, right, that basically can take all these other aspects into account, can take the context into account, and can also make inferences about the part of speech and include the part of speech in the lemma, right? So now we have a context like when the patient backs out of a clinical trial. This is just a hypothetical example. If it can infer that this is a verb, yes, it might stem it down to the word back, but it's the verb back, right? And so having that information encoded is something that can be really important to disambiguating these highly ambiguous